Julie, huge confession. I've
Yeah.
actually never, ever made a chicken cacciatore in my life.
You haven't?
Never. So I'm keen to watch along and learn how to make it from the master.
Oh, it's so simple, and it's a really good budgetarian dinner too. So it's chicken, whatever cut you like, seasoned flour, and then we've got onions, garlic, oregano, olives, tomatoes.
I love it. Also, the minute I heard you were making chicken cacciatore, it reminded me of my mum, and I think we also relate a lot of food memories to family.
Yep.
And I find that mum cooking for 4 boys,
Yeah.
she would do anything that was a bit of a one-pot wonder.
Yes.
What do you find? Is there pressure at home being that you are actually a master chef? do the hubby and the kids, do they expect fine dining? What are they expecting?
No, I don't think they even particularly like fine dining. They like big food, big flavours, plenty of it. It's got to be warm and hearty and, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want your mum to give you fine dining either, would you?
No way.
That's not mum's job.
Julie, tell us, what is the Big Blue Table?
So the Big Blue Table's a fundraiser for Beyond Blue, and what it is it's to gather everybody together around a table to have a conversation. So it's specifically to talk about mental health and to check in with one another, and to do that in an environment that makes everybody feel safe and everybody feel comfortable.
What's your favourite thing to cook for yourself?
I like stand and stir things, like where you can just be at the stove and just, thinking and doing it, just peaceful time, So I love risottos, I love curries, I love things that just need to be attended to. And, yeah, gravy. I love making gravy because it's a stand and stir thing, but also I know that whatever dish I'm making that involves gravy is going to go down really well.
What attracted you to the campaign?
Oh, look, everything about it. So for a start, I've always admired Beyond Blue and the services that they provide to Australians, to so many Australians. But the idea that we would bring all that to a meal, I think that serving a meal to people and talking around a table is one of the most important things you can do. It's always been the most important part of my day with my family, where we can talk about the highlights of our day or the things that we're struggling with. It's where so much honesty and openness and communication happens. So when Beyond Blue came to me and said, this is what we want to do for our fundraiser, count me in, I am there. I'll get you to pass me that plate, please, Luke. I'm just going to pop this out while I make the sauce.
Beautiful. Food has always been such an integral part of your life. Pre-MasterChef, what was your food story? How did it allow you to connect with those around you?
Well, I think that my cooking story really only started when I was a grown-up. Obviously I grew up in a household with a mum who loved to throw parties, and so there was always a lot of happiness around those tables loaded with all that good 70s gear, And when I got my own house, I just really wanted to continue that gathering of people. That's what I really loved about it. And the food was something that we all had in common. We all got to eat. But you look across any culture in the world and all the important occasions, they all centre around the food. And so we all need it. But I think it's more than that. I think it actually gives you a reason to bring people together.
Do you have a fond childhood memory of a cake or a meal that really used to fill your soul growing up?
Yeah, look, when I was a kid, and this might shock you, lamb was the cheap meat.
Lamb was?
Lamb. When I was growing up, lamb was what people ate. Well, when my mum especially was growing up, lamb they ate every day, and chicken you had at Christmas time.
What?
So this is before the intensive sort of factory farming of chickens, and lambs were a lot cheaper to raise. So, but when I was a kid, you didn't have to take out a mortgage to have a lamb chop. And my favourite dinner when I was little was crumbed cutlets. So, and we didn't get that kind of gear much because Mum was pretty health conscious.
Yep.
So when we did get something that was crumbed and deep fried or shallow fried, we were in heaven.
Crumbed lamb cutlets,
Yep,
yum.
my fave. Food doesn't just nourish your body and your blood cells and all the systems that we have in here. It nourishes your soul, it nourishes your spirit, and similarly, it nourishes a community. So when people gather together, that's a community, and we have things in common, and we have, things that we can share, that we can talk about. I honestly believe that if all the world leaders were to throw a potluck and they had to bring a dish and explain to everybody else at the table what that dish meant to them, and then they all shared that food, I think we'd go a long way towards solving a lot of problems. And I think at a family level, at a community level, at a social level, I think that it works the same way.
What I love about this recipe, Julie, economical cooking in this time is what families are looking for. They want to feed a lot of people for a little amount of money.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's a real stressor in families at the moment, is that the cost of living is really hard, really hard. So, you know, and I've always been a budget-conscious cook, you know. When I had 3 little tiny boys and a reasonably new mortgage, and, you know, we were one income for a while because I was at home with them, and it all came down to what you could afford to put on the table. And that's part of why I learnt to cook, because if we were going to eat yummy food, I had to figure out how to make it with not very much. So I'm always budget conscious. And this is a really budget conscious dinner, but you wouldn't know it when you sit down to eat it.
Yeah, do you think there's a lot of people out there who underestimate the power of food when it comes to their mental health?
Oh, look, I think everyone's raised in a different way, and everyone has different views about the role that dinner plays in your day. You know, some people eat for fuel. I'll never understand that. I mean, it fuels me, yes, but that's not my reason for cooking. I cook for joy and for connection. And so I do. I think it depends on how you're raised. For some people, food is not a celebration, and for some people, you know, mealtimes have a lot of angst around them and even trauma around them. But what I would say is it's got the power to heal. So if you can be exposed to the idea that sitting down for a meal with a group of people can be a healing thing, then maybe it can become a healing thing for people who don't think that way now.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us, Julie.